Hey everyone, Thunderbob here, and today I'm doing a short review for As Far as the Eye. This is a really interesting roguelike turn-based strategy game, but it's probably not what you're expecting. There's no combat, there's no violence. It is a system where you are strictly trying to survive. You're trying to lead your tribe away from rising floodwaters and making it to what is called the Eye, which is a safe zone. So far I've gone through 4 of the campaign chapters. There is a 5th that just got released that I'm going to have to play through later. The main draw of the game seems to be this new game mode, which is basically like a procedurally generated game world. Every game is different. There's 4 tribes. You can't move on to the next until you beat the previous one. They start with different number of pupils, different resources, different buildings, different traits. So the game is different every time, plus you have almost like classes you pick. Like if this was Slay the Spire, these might be like the different classes you pick at the beginning of the game. Let's go ahead and just get started. So just to familiarize yourself with some of this is like an overworld map, very similar to a lot of these games. You start at the beginning and you pick a path. What's different here is each of these represent like a mini turn-based strategy game, almost like a civilization game, except there's no opponents. You're strictly trying to strategically harvest the resources to move to your next halt, and these are called halts. Basically, at the beginning of the game, you want to look at your next halts and decide which route you're going to go, and each one has certain requirements: stone, wood, and wool in this case, spices, and ore in this case. And then you have the eye, which you're trying to reach. There is, each of these represent a small game world made up of tiles. You start the game with your caravan, which you settle. You've got to find kind of an empty spot in order to do so. I'm gonna move over here. And it is turn-based again, just to explain that. Settle, and now I have my 3 pupils. I've got Chechu, Zimri, and Goobly, and they do have unique traits. This pupil takes 1 less turn to harvest. That's a positive trait. This pupil has a big appetite and consumes 50% more food. It's a negative trait. And there are a ton of these traits. I've seen, dozens of them. Some of the negative ones are very negative, where you might want to look at who you're starting with and almost just restart if it's bad enough. I found some games that are just kind of frustrating. It doesn't happen all the time. And sometimes you just get, stacked with negative things where it just feels impossible to move forward. I've beaten this once so far. I had a lot of fun with it. I've had a couple of frustrating rounds. There's a few balance issues, but overall it feels good. Really, the only way to lose is either to run out of food or health, like if your characters get sick, or if this bar at the bottom goes all the way to cross. This represents the flood reaching you. So each halt you stop at, you have a number of turns to get to the next one. So right now I've got 180 turns to complete these requirements to move to the next halt. The game is really colorful, and the graphics are, they're simple, but I really like the style here. There's a lot of cool things about it. For example, I'm going to assign my 3 pupils different tasks. Oh, do I not have any wood here for you? Alright, you go explore. You go explore that way. Now, when you give them certain jobs to do, they change costumes. I like this. Each specific task they do has a unique costume, an animal associated with it. So here's some wood. I'm going to send him to get wood. And then he will build, if I can. Not need more resources. So you go get some pepkins. That's kind of the base food resource in the game. Now to do that, they have to come back and get their associated uniform on. So at times you need to strategize and think about, okay, what are they going to be doing? Is this guy going to be harvesting? Is he going to be building stuff? Because if you have to run back constantly to switch outfits, you're wasting a lot of turns. Oh, here's an interesting thing. You do have friendly caravans that come through from time to time. that offer you different options. I can trade 40 ore for 4 potions. I can get a new pupil, or I can ask for help and lower the requirements for the next halt. I find early on having an extra pupil can be good and bad, in that it costs more food to maintain them. I don't have the resources even to get this guy right now, so I'm just gonna ask for help, which, oh, you know, I don't have the resources to do any of these. They cost 30 right now, so that's unfortunate. Keep getting me that wood. Oh, I get someone with nothing to do. Go get me some pumpkins. I've really enjoyed this game so far. I'm gonna try to beat the other tribes. It's definitely, it feels easy at first. It's like really a chill game, like you're just kind of going through these turns, but very quickly things can spiral out of control. Even though there's no enemies, there's no combat. Another interesting thing is the leveling wheel. Everything your characters, your pupils do will level them in some way. Like all my guys right now are basically just harvesting, so they're all leveling up this harvesting tree, and it'll make them more efficient at it. They'll get more resources, they'll consume less food, they'll get better at building as you have them build things. And then there's these secondary like jobs, so later on you actually get choices where, do you want them to get more experience, or do you want them to get more cereal? Do you want them to get more experience, or do you want them to harvest more ore per turn? And they get more complex as you go. It's a very complex tree, to be honest, but after a couple of games it'll make sense. There is also on your caravan a separate tree, which you can use to like carry more things to the next halt. You know, you get better visual range. There's lots of different options in here. Beyond that, there's also ruins you find in the game, remains. So I can send one of my people over here to explore it, and if I get a higher level, you can actually get more out of it. But right now I'm just gonna go, and you see his costume changed when I did that. Oh, so that one revealed the whole map, so you can get a glance at what the whole map looks like. That looks like the only... Oh, there was one more remain here. Let's just go see what this one does. I'm gonna tell this guy to go build something if I can. I know I'm gonna need stone. Do I see any stone on the map? Yeah, down there. That's fine. Ooh, so that one gave me 100 wood and 100 stone, which is a good chunk of what I needed to move forward. So let's see what else. A lot of the time you'll get everything you need to move forward and you still have turns left. What I find is it's actually useful if you can keep up the food to get as many resources as it takes to the next halt. But when you reach the end of the halt, you click here and basically say, like, I want to move on to the next one, and you get like a small grid, and it'll say like what resources do you want to take forward. So from halt to halt you can take a certain number of your resources forward. There's also two types of buildings. So let me go back to this guy's my builder right now. If I click on any of these, I can build a permanent building, which is a little cheaper, or I can build a mobile building, in which case I can pick up and move either on this specific halt or from halt to halt, but they do take space in your limited backpack. So you have to make a choice if you want to take these mobile buildings or you want to take more resources, which just allow you to build those buildings. It's a complex system, a lot of choices. You know, I've only kind of scratched the surface in about 4 hours of playtime, I want to say. but I feel confident enough to say that this is a fun game right now. If you're a fan of turn-based games like Civilization, but you're okay without combat, this might be something for you. If you like rogue-like experiences where each game is very different, this is probably a great game to explore. If you are interested in something that has a little bit of commentary on, like, the ecological situation of the planet, like this is about society fleeing from this rising tide, and there's moments in the game where they talk about over exploiting the resources in a zone, and it can be actually detrimental. So there is some ecological commentary in the game. Some people will enjoy that, some people it'll be a turn off for them, but I thought it was really interesting the way they presented it. The story's not deep by any means. It's really just used to flesh out the mechanics, but I really like the style, like the graphics. The game is fun. It's a really chill, kind of calm experience at times, and then suddenly you're realizing I'm about to starve to death. I've only got 5 turns to move to the next halt, and it gets really stressful really fast. So it's a really fun experience. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, you should check it out. This actually comes out tomorrow. I'm going to have this review up basically just before release. If you want to check it out, I'll have a link down below in the comments for the Steam page. And if you have any suggestions for strategies here, I can move on to the next stage. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, I've got a whole playlist full of new and upcoming games. I've got virtual reality content. I've got some retro content. Think about giving it a look, and if you like what you see, consider giving me a subscription. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Have a great night.